Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here at midday on Friday, February 12th. A lot to talk about over the next few minutes here. We have a very active weather pattern over the next 7 days or so. Really the two big storylines, news-making storylines going forward here. An Arctic plunge later in the weekend into the early part of next week will send some bitter cold air from the northern U.S. all the way down into the southern plains. This will no doubt be some record-breaking cold for places like Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and it will also contribute to snow and ice in some unusually far southern areas like Dallas, Texas, for example, could get 6+ inches of snow by the early part of next week. Suburbs of Houston could see an ice event here at the end of the week and going into the early part of next week. In addition to the Arctic plunge, very important change is occurring over the upper part of the atmosphere in terms of the wind flow over the next few days, and that will lead to a much greater chance of ice storms throughout much of the nation in coming days. And that actually begins this weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region, for example, and may intensify early next week with a storm system that reaches the Mid-Atlantic region in the Monday night, Tuesday time frame, again with significant icing on the table. And there'll be another storm system to deal with during the latter part of next week. Let's start off with a map here from BAM Weather that shows the temperature anomalies averaged out over the next 7 days. And it's just unusual to see this widespread of an area with 20+ degrees below normal over such a long period of time. I mean, one of the amazing things about this cold air outbreak across the northern and central U.S. has been its longevity. Many days with below zero readings in parts of the northern U.S. And this is the average temperature anomaly over the next 7 days between today, Friday, and next Friday. Again, a very widespread area of very cold, much colder than normal conditions. And again, it will be historic cold in this part of the nation during the latter part of the weekend into the early part of next week. Very serious situation setting up because they're not used to this kind of cold in places like Texas, certainly well below zero in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma by Sunday night, Monday morning time frame, and that will also be occurring with some accumulating snow and ice as well. Well, here's another important storyline here going forward here, and this too is for the next 7-day period. This is actually a forecast map of total accumulated freezing rain over the next 7 days from today, Friday, all the way to next Friday from the very latest run of the operational version of the GFS at 12Z. And this is kind of certainly a red flag that we could have some serious icing issues in a large part of the nation, including and maybe especially the Mid-Atlantic region over the next several days. Some of these areas are showing up with more than an inch of freezing rain, accumulated freezing rain over the next 7 days, and that's a multiple storm system. There's one this weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region that we'll talk about over the next couple of minutes, and a significant event probably Monday night into Tuesday, and then another event probably Thursday of next week. And all three of those can have icing as part of the equation here in the Mid-Atlantic region. So an Arctic plunge going all the way down in the deep south, and an increased chance of ice storms over the next several days. Well, let's take a look at what kind of a change is occurring in the upper part of the atmosphere that will allow for an increased chance of ice storms across much of the nation. First of all, what we're looking at here is the 500 millibar forecast map for early this afternoon. And we've talked about this block over Canada and into the southern part of Greenland. That remains as we end the work week here going into Friday afternoon. And there is a deep, cold upper level low situated over the southern part of Canada. High pressure region also has been trying to expand over the southeastern part of the nation. The area between this upper level low to the north and west and the high to the south and east has caused kind of a battle zone region right in this part of the nation. And the lines of equal heights here generally flow from west to east. In other words, the upper air winds generally flow in a zonal fashion from west to east like this. Now watch what happens over the next 48 to 72 hours or so. Again, keep in mind that basically a zonal flow from west to east across the upper part of the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, this is the forecast map for later in the day on Monday, just about 72 hours from now. Notice the orientation of these height lines, and this is now promoting a southwesterly flow of air in the upper part of the atmosphere. Basically, that upper level low has dropped south and west into this part of the nation, and the high over the southeastern U.S. has pushed to the western part of the Atlantic Ocean, and that allows for a change in the flow in the upper part of the atmosphere to southwesterly. That pushes in warmer air aloft over places like the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic region. However, you still have Arctic air at the ground level anchored in by strong high pressure, and that spells trouble. That is the reason for an increased chance of ice over the next several days, really over the next week. Warmer air pushes in aloft, but at the same time you have a very cold and dense air at the surface, at the ground level, across the Great Lakes, the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region. It's anchored in by a deep snowpack, too, in areas generally deep north of the Mason-Dixon line, but now we have some snow all the way south of the Mason-Dixon line into the central part of Virginia, southern part of New Jersey, for example, the Delmarva Peninsula. So a lot of snow cover. High pressure kind of anchored in place, so you have a reluctant, cold, dense air mass over the next several days. At the same time, it starts to warm in the upper part of the atmosphere because of the shift in that upper level low and the high pressure ridging, and that results in a change in wind direction, again promoting the possibility of some significant ice events going forward over the next week or so. Well, let's take a look at the operational run of the GFS at 12Z with respect to the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Starting off the afternoon here on Friday, very, very cold air, and it's been sitting there over that region, the northern part of the nation, the southern part of Canada, and spilling out over into the central plains. It makes a move over the next 48 hours all the way down. At least the most excessively cold part of this air mass makes that move all the way down into the panhandle region of Texas and Oklahoma. Look at these abnormalities here. This is some 25 to 30 degrees below normal Celsius, below normal by Sunday night, Monday morning. This will be some historically cold air for this part of the nation where they're really not used to it. And again, snow and ice will accompany this Arctic plunge way down into the deep south. We'll just go out a little bit farther in time, and it sits around there for a couple of days at the early part of next week, and still some colder than normal air out across the northeastern part of the nation. And again, it'll be reluctant to give up its ground in the Mid-Atlantic region and the northeast U.S., and that spells trouble as moisture moves in. Well, let's now take a look at the surface forecast maps going forward, and we'll see lots of color. Color on a map like this is not a good thing. It shows areas of sleet and freezing rain. First of all, we start off with a lot of green here. That's plain rain. And the blue, of course, represents snow areas. We had a weak system produce some snow across the central part of Virginia, southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. That has moved away. And then we're looking to the south and west here. Right off the bat here, we have some color here. Some sleet and freezing rain will break out early tomorrow. And not a big system here, not a very significant precipitation amount kind of event for the upcoming week in the Mid-Atlantic region, but it does not take much in the way of ice to cause some problems. And again, sleet and freezing rain really anywhere along the D.C., Philadelphia to New York City corridor during the afternoon and evening hours on Saturday. And some of that can last into the day on Sunday as well. So really on from later Saturday into the day on Sunday, there can be some spotty sleet, freezing rain, even some snow at times in the D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City corridor and throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. Any kind of icing can cause some problems, especially on, of course, untreated surfaces. So be on the lookout for that at any time over the upcoming weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region. Then let's move forward now into the early week. Be some kind of a system here Sunday night into the early hours on Monday. It could be rain, sleet, or snow in the Mid-Atlantic region, depending on location. And then the more significant event starts to take shape here over the Tennessee Valley with significant snowfall on the northwest side of that track here. This is the Monday evening forecast map. Some ice in the middle. So this is the storm system that first will produce some significant snow this weekend over the Pacific Northwest. Places like Seattle to Portland may get 6 to 12 inches of snow over the next 24 hours or so. Unusual for that part of the nation. That system drops. In fact, let's backtrack a little bit. It drops all the way from the Pacific Northwest early tomorrow to the Rocky Mountain regions with Rocky Mountain states with significant snow, and then all the way down into Texas. And this is to combine with that Arctic air mass to cause maybe 6+ inches of snow in Dallas, maybe some ice all the way down to the Gulf coastal region into the metropolitan area of Houston by early Monday morning. And then it pushes off to the north and east. Significant snow on the northwest side, a significant band of ice from Texas all the way to the Ohio Valley into the latter part of Monday. This moves into the Mid-Atlantic region on Monday night. Could be a significant ice event for parts of the Mid-Atlantic region Monday night going into Tuesday. In interior, northwestern part of the Mid-Atlantic region could very well be a significant snow event. Certainly a significant snow event for the Ohio Valley. Now notice low pressure here on the GFS, the 12Z GFS over the Appalachians. That storm track is still a little bit up in the air. It could be a little bit to the north and west, more towards the Ohio Valley, could be a little bit more to the south and east. And that ultimate storm track will kind of dictate how much snow, how much ice can fall in the Mid-Atlantic region. A track a little bit farther to the south and east makes a colder solution in the Mid-Atlantic region. In other words, the chance for more snow and more ice in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. If it goes to the north and west up into the Ohio Valley, that increases the chances for some plain rain from, let's say, the I-95 corridor region to points to the south and east. And that's still a little bit up in the air here. We'll have to fine-tune that over the next couple of days. But a big event coming for the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic region in the Monday night, Tuesday time frame. And that is not the end of it. That pushes away by the middle of the week. And then we have cold high pressure again. Reluctant, cold, dense air sitting over the Mid-Atlantic region by the middle, latter part of next week. And yet another strong system with lots of color here, lots of freezing rain and sleet and snow on the northwest flank here by Thursday of next week. Another potential significant ice event for portions of the Mid-Atlantic region, potential significant snow for the Ohio Valley and interior northwestern sections of the Mid-Atlantic region. So really, 3 different systems to deal with over the next 7 days. One this weekend, one early next week, and a third system later next week. A big news-making event with Arctic air plunging all the way to the deep south, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico. Historic cold in some spots late this week and early next week, and a significant storm system will trek all the way across the nation, producing significant snow in the Pacific Northwest, the Rockies, all the way down to the deep south. A big ice storm from Texas to the Ohio Valley, and a big ice storm could move into the Mid-Atlantic region by the Monday night, Tuesday time frame, and another one could happen next Thursday night time frame. So a lot going on. Stay tuned to PerspectiveWeather.com for updates over the upcoming week, and that's it for now. For Perspective Weather, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.